Good evening, Drew.
we have to talk about Balatro.
Okay.
We have to talk about it.
Okay.
Um, have you heard of this?
Yes.
Have you played this?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like it?
No.
God damn it. Every one of these fucking roguelikes I throw at you, you hate. I cannot stop playing it.
Oh,
I cannot stop playing it.
yeah, uh I heard about it. I saw like the reviews and on the besties they talked about it, and on the PlayStation 5 they had a demo, like an hour-long demo.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
played every second of that hour-long demo. And then after that, I was like, yeah, I have no desire to keep playing this at all.
Oh my god. I love it. My lizard brain love it when number go up, and it's really good at making number go up. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's I don't know, man. I've suggested a lot of different roguelikes to you in the course of this show. And for people who don't know what that is, it's a certain type of video game. I should probably put a show. I should probably put a show note on that. But the whole premise of the game is it's based on poker. And what it is every round you have to obtain a certain score by playing, by basically choosing a poker hand from the cards that you are dealt. And you only have so many plays that you can make. You can discard a certain number of cards to try to make your hand better, but you can only do that so many times. And that's good. You know, it's a neat little puzzle. But what makes it really interesting are the concept of these jokers, which add different modifiers to what you play. And brother, I'm here to tell you, I don't know if they gave you a full taste of some of the shenanigans you can get up to when some of these things start to synergize together and everything just sort of starts to fall into place. Some of the obscene chains and bonuses that you can obtain,
Yeah,
it gets pretty
it's
silly.
just bigger numbers, and that I don't know. It didn't do it for me.
Number go up.
Yeah,
Number has to go
I,
up.
I, I, I mean, I get it. It's a cute little puzzle. It wasn't for me.
It's not
It
for
wasn't
you.
for me. It wasn't for me. You know what? You
Okay.
know what? I am playing the absolute heck out of right now, since
Okay.
Microsoft is apparently giving up and releasing a bunch of exclusives on PlayStation 5. Is Hi-Fi Rush.
I've heard that that's good.
Oh, it's good. It's a rhythm action game, so you have to like do your moves and attacks to the beat.
Uh-huh.
But it's good. I love it. I like it. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it.
I wonder if is that still on Game Pass?
Maybe.
Let's see. I have it open here. Hi-Fi.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Hi-Fi
Mm-hmm.
Rush. It's by Bethesda, huh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
I might have to play that. I've heard good
Yeah,
things.
it's really good. It's got a really like cute graphical style. It looks like a cartoon. Uh it plays really good. I like it. It's good.
Wow.
Can recommend.
But are you playing anything else? We'll get out of video game corner here because I have a lot to talk about, but we'll get out of video game corner here. But you playing anything else?
Yes, I am playing one other thing. I picked
Okay.
up Doom and Doom Eternal on my Steam Deck, and I am replaying Doom on my Steam Deck, and that game still kicks ass. So
I still like Doom over Doom Eternal.
I don't think I ever even finished Doom Eternal, but yeah,
I gritted it out.
yeah,
I really really like the first
yeah.
Doom
They were so cheap.
or Doom
They
2016.
were like so cheap on sale right now. I was like, I gotta get these, and they run pretty well on the Steam Deck if you fiddle with the settings a little bit, and yeah.
What about Helldivers 2?
I have not got into that, mostly because uh I tend to avoid multiplayer heavy games most of the
Mhm.
time. So yeah, and I've heard this game is like only good if you have people to play with, and that's just too much work for
I
me.
you know there are a group of people that I play with whenever I am online at that time of night. And I will hop in and play a few matches with them. But I've also done a few matches where I've been, matched up with randos, and it's still really fun. I'm just here for the bit, like the whole Super Earth, managed democracy, memes. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. It's hard. I much prefer killing the bugs to the robots because the bugs don't shoot back.
Okay.
The robots shoot back, and they're really good shots.
Okay.
Turns out. But that's a very good game too. I would go more into depth in that, but if you're not playing it, it's not worth it.
I mean, I've watched my son play it some. Like, yeah.
Oh, I could see Zach being all into that.
Yeah. Like there was like a hot minute where like that's where all of his friends were doing is playing Helldivers 2, and now not so much. So, but yeah, he's playing. He's playing. I don't know, some Call of Duty shooty mans more now. So, yeah.
Really. Interesting. I just uninstalled Call of Duty this week.
I don't know which one it is. It's they all look the same to me. It's just shooty mans.
It's not Rainbow Six Siege.
No, it's not. No,
okay.
No.
All right.
It is definitely a Call of Duty because every time I see him play it, I think duty.
Yeah, it never gets old.
It does not get old. It really doesn't. So.
All right, buddy. Well, you put a note in show notes here about Velcroing keyboards under your desk.
Yes.
Can you?
Okay.
What did you do?
That is the last thing of a very, very long chain of events that has happened.
Okay. Well, we might as well start at the beginning.
Yes. So, I like a lot of people who listen to this podcast, I think I spend a lot of time sitting at my desk. I work from home, so I have a home office. I am very particular about my ergonomics in my setup. Well, not to bury the lead, but previously I had a monoprice standing desk, and it was perfectly cromulent. I'm very particular about my keyboard location. I like to have my keyboard so my wrists, my like arms are hanging down, and my elbows at 90-degree angle, so I don't have a lot of pressure. Because of that, I had my my desk extremely low, so I could have my keyboard there. And there was two things happening. Well, three things. I really wanted to get back into like a negative tilt, which basically means that like the back of the keyboard is lower than the front of the keyboard. And I didn't really have a good way of doing that with my particular desk. Also, the laminate was peeling off of my desk. And because my desk was very, very, very low, I continuously hit my knees upon the frame of the desk. So all of these things combined made me start looking for a furniture upgrade in my house. I had kind of decided that like, hey, I really want to get a nice desk, a standing desk, but I want to go back to a keyboard tray. I want to have a nice adjustable keyboard tray that I can get my keyboard exactly where I want it very easily, independent of my desk height, independent of whether I was sitting and I was standing. And I did a lot of research on keyboard trays, and I kept coming back to Uplift. Uplift desks are extremely customizable. They are great. I believe you have one, right?
What, Uplift?
Yeah, I do. So because of like I ended up going, you know what? I'm going to get an Uplift desk. I'm going to do it. I'm going to customize it. I'm going to get a keyboard tray that's going to match the desk. And I've been rocking that for, I don't know, probably a couple weeks now. And I love it. It's great. Absolutely great. I love the keyboard tray. It is wonderful. So this is the beginning of the story.
Yep.
So since I got the keyboard tray, I decided to get, my previous desk was like 60 inches wide by 30 inches deep. I wanted something a little a little smaller, right? I didn't need it to be quite so deep. So I went with a 60-inch desk and only 24 inches deep because I have the keyboard tray, right? I can pull the keyboard tray out. I have
Sure.
more room. I don't need a lot of stuff on my desk. Uh, so previously, what I had done is I have my big boy, my big 32-inch 6K monitor. I love it. I'm definitely single monitor lifestyle. And then I had a little
Mhm.
like arm that I put my laptop on, open up as kind of like a secondary screen, even though I really stopped using it as a secondary screen at all. I just kind of had it open there. Uh, but so in my setup, somewhere along the line, when I was tearing down my old desk and setting up my new desk, the monitor, the arm that I had used to put my laptop on, uh, I don't know, I done broke it. I broke it somehow.
Okay.
And it just like no matter what I did, it was just kind of like at like a 15-degree angle all the time. And I was like, screw it, screw it, screw it. So I went on Amazon and I bought another arm and I hooked it up, and I could just not get the arm where I wanted it at all.
Sure.
Now, the big thing that I used my open laptop for was Touch ID. Right? I like being able to reach up, touch the Touch ID button on my laptop to be able to unlock one password or authenticate or a bunch of things. Log into my computer. It's great. Touch ID is wonderful. Uh but I was kind of like, you know what? Screw it. Screw it. I'm gonna rock the clamshell lifestyle. So I just closed
Okay.
the laptop, put it down, and I almost like immediately was like, I miss I miss Touch ID. I miss it. Uh so I thought to myself, you know what, Paul? You know what? Apple sells something that's not a computer, but also has Touch ID on it.
Oh no.
They sell.
Are you serious? All okay. Let me just stop you for a
Mhm,
second. This whole time I'm listening to it, and I'm like,
mhm,
why?
mhm,
Like, where?
mhm,
How possibly? And
mhm,
now,
mhm,
like,
mhm. Is it
like,
hitting you? Is it hitting you?
yeah, it's like you know what's about to happen in a scene in a movie before the characters do, and you have a pit in your stomach of what you did.
Mhm,
Oh
mhm.
no, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, so I spent $150 on the little Apple Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. Okay. I bought that simply. I don't want to use it as a keyboard. I simply want to use it as a Touch ID button. In addition to that, I bought some very powerful like stick-on Velcro.
Yeah.
So I got my keyboard. I plugged the lightning cable in. I snaked up the cable through. I plugged it into my dock, and then I used an app called Carabiner uh, to basically disable through software all the keys on that keyboard. Uh, so only the Touch ID button worked. I then put Velcro on the bottom of that, put Velcro on the bottom of my desk, and then affix the keyboard on the bottom of the desk so the edge of the keyboard is kind of aligned flush with the front of my desk, and it's right in front of my mouse. So to do Touch ID, all I have to do now is kind of turn my hand over, put it under my desk, raise a finger, boop, boop. And I have a Touch ID button under my desk. And I could not be happier. It's a brilliant idea, and I love it. And there we go, Drew. That's why I have a keyboard Velcro on the underside of my desk. It's for Touch ID.
As the great Red Green once told us, if the women can't find you handsome, they sure should find you handy. I I applaud your ingenuity,
I feel like there's a
but I
butt
want
coming here.
I just I just want you to think about what you
I
did.
did.
I want
Okay.
I want you to feel bad about what you
I
did.
don't.
I want you to
Okay.
know that you've sinned,
Why?
and I'm going to give you a chance
Okay.
to repent.
Okay.
Why did you do like
Mhm.
I understand. My head's in my hands, and I don't even know that I'm talking into the mic right now. I understand what you did.
Mhm.
You're not in trouble, okay? Like you're not in trouble. But
Oh, I
uh,
feel like I'm a little bit in
that
trouble.
that's what it took, huh?
It's what it took, and it's wonderful. It's perfect. It's perfect. No notes, no complaints. It is wonderful. Uh, Now, granted, it was $150 plus like $5 for the Velcro for a single Touch ID button, and there's a whole.
So you
Uh-huh.
have okay, so again, just I'm replaying the story here. You got the narrower uplift
Mm-hmm.
desk,
Mm-hmm.
which has room for your monitor,
Mm-hmm.
and it is on an arm, correct?
No, the monitor is not. It is just it's on the adjustable stand that came with it. The stand is perfectly fine. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Monitor's on the
Mm-hmm.
stand. Your computer
Mm-hmm.
is on an arm, right?
Actually, where my computer is now is on. Oh, what did I buy? Uh,
Yeah, I'm a little I'm
okay.
trying to picture it. I'm a little unclear where the
Okay.
computer
Okay.
is.
Hold on. So I bought shit. What is it? Is it from 12 South? 12 South. Is that what I bought? Yes. Okay. So I bought this. Hold on. Link coming. Link coming. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I bought the Book Arc Flex, which is a little stand for holding your laptop upright in the clamshell position.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's cute because like the way it's built, you kind of like push the laptop down, and like the little thing where like the computer rests on is actually like rubber material. So when you push it down, it kind of brings in the arches in to kind of hold the laptop up. It's actually really clever. So I have one of those on the back corner of my desk. From there I plug in a single cable, my Thunderbolt cable, into my Thunderbolt dock. Then I have all of
Mm-hmm.
my accessories and stuff. But since it is closed, I can't use the Touch ID button. So hence the keyboard. So yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's working for you, huh?
It is. It is. It's great. I love this desk. It is beautiful. Uh it looks nice. The standing function is much better than the monoprice thing I had. Uh I love how customizable the uplift desks are. So I've got power management built into it, and cable management, and it is absolutely wonderful. It's a delight. I got the like bamboo color, which I think is what you have as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I have a keyboard taped on the bottom of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I have two of the uplifts. I both of my desks in my office are standing
Okay.
desks. The one that I have, like this computer I'm recording on right now, is my older one, and then I bought a new one when I started working from home. And yes, they are fantastic. Um, they're not. I don't know how yours came, but
And like eight
maybe
in
because
like some really like 4 or 5 boxes, 2 or 3 of them were ridiculously heavy.
yeah. Well, that weight is a sign of reliability
Yes.
because they are extremely sturdy.
Yes.
Did
Yes.
you get wheels? Did you get
No, I
wheels?
didn't want wheels. No.
Oh,
No.
the wheels make it so much better for, getting behind there, doing cable management.
Oh, I've got it was I just raised the uh desk all the way up to the top and did all my cable management, and from I was
Just
under
crawl under there. Crawl under like a little
I crawled
gnome. Yeah.
underneath there, and yeah, it's yeah, they're really 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 nice. Would
Yeah.
recommend. Hmm.
Yeah. Now, do you have no concerns about that Velcro coming loose? Or
Oh
anything?
no, it's on there.
Okay.
I actually have the opposite concern. If I ever decide to undo this, I'm probably gonna have to spend some time with like a heat gun.
Some Goo Gone.
Yeah, getting that
God, I love Goo
getting
Gone.
that glue off
Goo
of
Gone
there.
is magical.
Yeah. No, it ain't going nowhere, Drew.
Now, the last question I have here, you said that, you were bumping your knees, whenever you would slide your chair under your desk. I guess this thing is thin enough and your desk is high enough that you don't have that problem with this. Like,
and also, so the keyboard tray. So my knees are under the keyboard tray and not under the desk, so I don't have that problem. And also, like, if you remember, what is it? A lot of the uplift desks have C frames, right? So like the crossbar is not in the middle; it's kind of more towards the back. Well, the monoprice one was a T frame where it was exactly in the middle, so it was a lot closer to the front. And since I was, had my desk low to get my keyboard in the right spot, and and I would sit in and I would hit my knees on the frame. It sucked. I don't no longer have that problem. I have the keyboard tray. I know keyboard trays are not for everybody, but if you are looking for a desk with a nice keyboard tray, just get the expensive one from Uplift. It's nice. It's very easily adjustable. It's got, negative tilt, which is what I wanted. It's big enough for I use a 10 keyless keyboard, so I have plenty of room for my mouse on there.
But do you put your it fits your ergonomic keyboard?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, that's a non-traditional shape.
Yeah, but it's the same size as like a normal 10 keyless keyboard, I think.
Oh, so, I thought it was had like a weird curve on it.
It does have a weird curve, but it still fits. Yeah, it still fits.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Uplift makes a lot of good accessories. Like the only accessory I have for mine is I bought one of their drawers, like under mount desk drawers. Okay. That's really nice. Yeah. I have a couple things that I want to talk about.
Okay.
We're nothing on this show if not sometimes irresponsible.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing that I want to talk about is I have bought a safe.
Okay. Tell me more.
Now, I have wanted to own a nice safe for a while now. Okay. For a topic that we're going to talk about after this. But, I have things in my home that I want to secure, right? I have documents and jewelry and firearms and things that I want to keep secure. It's not that those things weren't secure in my home before. I had ways to lock up our watches and jewelry and such. My documents were like in a locked filing cabinet, and my firearms were in what I could best describe as a reinforced locker. And I don't think any of these things by themselves would stop a determined thief from getting at them. So I've wanted to buy a safe for a while. And the thing that has held me up wasn't the cost of the safe. It was how do I safe? How do I get safe where I want it in my home? Because ideally I want it in my basement. I want it someplace dry and someplace remote. While they do make safes that are easier on the eyes, I don't necessarily want it out in the open in my home. I don't want it to be something that I have to like walk around all the time. So in other words, I wanted to find a safe that was going to go into my home. Now, there are lots of places around us that sell safes, and there are a lot of places around us that have safes you can go look at. Okay. The one that I wound up ordering was from a company called Liberty Safe. Liberty, because a lot of these things really lean into America for all the reasons you can expect.
Yeah.
Okay. So Liberty makes a line of different safes. I mean, they have standard gun safes. They have home safes that are more of like your traditional, like little cubes to store things in. But they also make like vault doors. So, like, if you were building a home and you
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
build a room that you wanted to reinforce, like, you could buy like a big door, and then like one of your entire rooms is now Anne's safe, right?
Okay.
So they
Yeah.
sell all kinds of stuff.
They
Now,
sure they sure do. They sure
the
do.
one that I bought in particular is they have a lot of different lines of safes. I ended up buying what is known as the Franklin line,
Okay.
and they have different sizes of safes. So every one of their safes has like the safe name or safe series name and then a number after it.
Mm-hmm.
And the number basically denotes how many guns you can fit in it. And by, by the transitive property, like the size of the safe.
Okay.
So
So
I
I
ended up,
see three different sizes here.
uh
Okay.
huh.
Okay. Which one
Yep.
which one did you get?
I got the Franklin 23.
Okay, that's the little one. Well, little quote.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's still
mean,
pretty freaking big.
it's still pretty freaking
Mm-hmm.
big. So if you scroll down on that
Mm-hmm.
page, it
Mm-hmm.
gives you like a little table
Yep.
outlining the dimensions of the safe. And I almost got the Franklin 40, but I
Okay.
got the Franklin 23. A couple nice things about this safe. Number one, um, it has plenty of room to expand inside of it. And then the other thing I really like about it is on the door of the safe are pockets for all sorts of stuff: documents, handgun accessories, pockets for jewelry, magazines, whatever you want to do. And then inside the safe, all of the shelving is adjustable.
Okay.
There is like a center partition, uh, like that goes down the middle of it, about halfway, about 2/3 of the way down the safe. And there's like kind of like shelving rails in there where you put clips, and then you can put the shelving and arrange it to the different sizes that you want. The thing that I kind of learned going through this process, so if you're the kind of person that is in the market for a safe, the limiting factor here isn't necessarily the height or the width of the safe, it's the depth of the safe. Because the
Okay.
bigger safes aren't
Yeah.
necessarily bigger in dimensions than each other. Like if you're looking at those dimensions, the biggest difference between them all is the depth.
Depth. Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
and especially if you're trying to stack multiple things in the safe, that makes a very, very big difference whenever you're like putting things in there. So I decided on the safe that I wanted. So then it was okay. Uh, Now how do I get this safe to my home?
I was gonna
Um,
ask because one of the things in one of the pieces of data in that table is the weight. And this
okay, I'm
thing
glad. I'm glad you saw that.
that's it's heavy. It's very heavy.
Hmm. Yes, the lightest safe in the Franklin series is the Franklin 23, and it is 640 pounds. The Franklin 40 is about 200 pounds heavier than that. And then the big daddy in the Franklin line, the Franklin 50, is about 150 pounds more even than that.
It's about half a ton. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I work out, but I can't
That's
lift,
yeah.
and I don't think anybody can reliably lift something that is, damn near 5 feet tall and 30 inches wide and 22 inches deep and weighs, I mean, a solid cube or, polygon of varying proportions that weighs 640 pounds. So once I decided that I wanted this Liberty safe, so what I did is I sent an email to Liberty, and I'm like, hey, I'm interested in buying one of these things. Do you offer delivery? And essentially what they said is that no, they don't offer delivery directly. However, they have like authorized dealers
Okay.
that, can help you arrange delivery. And they helpfully pointed me at Vance's. Now, Vance's is a local kind of sportsman store. That's a nice way of saying gun store. That's here in Central Ohio. They actually have 3 stores in Central Ohio now. And they are an authorized reseller of Liberty safes. And I then contacted them, and I worked with a really, really nice guy there over email and over the phone who basically explained the process. Like, once I decided on the safe that I wanted, I would pay for it. And then they work exclusively with a company that all they do is move safes. That's all they do.
Okay.
So, you can hire a mover to move like your entire home and your furniture and all this other stuff. These folks, all they do is move safes. So before I paid for it, I called this company and I said, here's what I'm looking at. And then this is where the story takes a little bit of a turn, because as I was looking at these safes, the guy said to me, he goes, well, where do you want your safe to be? Like, where would you like us to move it to? And I said, in my basement. And he said, okay, well, that's like an extra $100 to go up and down flights of stairs. He goes, can you send me a picture of like the stairway in your home that we have to move this safe down?
Okay.
I said, sure.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you've been to my home.
I have.
You know that I don't have stairs that go into my basement like a normal house. I have stairs that do 180-degree turn on a landing.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm guessing in the world of safe moving, that's a problem.
Yeah. So remember how I said I was originally looking at the Franklin 40?
Uh-huh.
So he had me take some pictures, and he said, he goes, can you give me some measurements? Like how wide is your landing? Like how many steps, all this other stuff. And then he said, well, I move a lot of these safes. He goes, we can probably make the Franklin 40 work, but I'm going to have to bring extra guys. And I said, I'll just go with the Franklin 23.
Okay.
Because he was very confident he could get the 23 into my basement. He was like 80% sure he could have got that Franklin 40 down my steps.
Okay.
So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go with the smaller one. As much as I would like to have the bigger one to have a lot of space in there and have more room and all that other stuff, I'm like, I'm sure the 23 would be fine. I actually drove down to the store to look at them just to make sure. And if you're on that website right now, you can see there's a whole different line of different safes, and I'll get to some of the differences here in a minute. But I decided on it. I paid for it. And I set up time for delivery. They came out first thing this past Monday. And believe me when I tell you that these guys were A1 professional in terms of getting this done. They have the big truck that, as it was coming down the road, had a slight lean to it because I think it had multiple safes in it. So they pull into my driveway. Mm-hmm. The truck that they have has this giant pneumatic lift gate on it. And they sort of dolly the safe out to the thing. They kind of pull it down in the driveway. And then he had this hand truck, Paul. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know that they made this kind of thing. But this hand truck is rated for 1,500 pounds. And it's motorized.
Oh.
So the way they got it into my house was, once they got it down off the truck, they tilted it, they got the hand truck under it, and they sort of like lifted it back. And then they went down my walkway and they came to my front door, and there's a couple steps up into my house. Well, what they would do is they would basically like hit a button and it would like motorize lift the safe up. And that helped them like go up and down stairs easier.
Okay.
So like when they were going down the stairs, they basically were at my top stair, and they were actually able to sort of like elevator the safe down my steps. And then, they put down like carpeting so they didn't like hurt my floor or anything. And then like they put these big plastic like sheets on my landing. So once it got on the landing, they were able to just literally slide it. Like they were able to slide the whole thing like all the way to the other side of my landing, then put that dolly under it again and lower it down my steps. They were done in 15 minutes. Like it was, wow. and it took two guys. It was masterful. It was absolutely masterful. He helped me level it and everything. And like, he wanted to know if I wanted it bolted down to the floor. And I'm like, no, I think I'm good. Like, cause that's a thing they can do too.
Wow.
But it was really good. And if you're in the market for a safe, there are a lot of different brands. I really like the Liberty line because it's just, it's really nice. My color that I got is gray. It did come with an electronic lock, which I'm still not 100% sold on, but they assure me it's very reliable. I would have much preferred to have just a regular, safe combination lock thing. But this one works really fine. But one of the features that's really interesting about this safe, Paul, is that it has a power outlet in it.
Okay.
It has a power outlet in it. And not only does it have a power outlet in it, it has USB plugs in it. And it has an Ethernet plug in it.
Wow. So you could put, wow.
You could like have like a really secure backup hard drive in there.
Huh. Okay.
Right? Or, right now I'm actually running one of my old Raspberry Pis in there that monitor like temperature and humidity.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And it works really well. Now the Wi-Fi signal is a no-go, but the fact that it has like Ethernet in there is pretty solid. It has 3 outlets. They're all kind of close together, so you need to be careful about like, little like AC adapters that take up a lot of space. But there's 3 plugs, a USB port, and an Ethernet port. And then, and on the back side of the safe is kind of like a regular computer power thing. You know how like you plug that into a power supply?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like that on the back of the safe, and then that goes over to an outlet. But it's very nice. It did come with a lighting kit that I tried to install and got so frustrated that I just threw it away. Because the instructions were very unclear and the motion sensor wasn't working. So I was just like, nah, I just threw it away. Like literally, I just wasted all those electronics. And they were basically just glorified LED strips anyway. So like if I really wanted to, I could probably do something better inside of there. But yeah, I mean, it comfortably fits all of my firearms and the other things that I want to protect. I really believe that, having a good safe is important for protecting that kind of stuff. So like passports, birth certificates, old IDs, old credit cards, like, not to mention the guns, but like my watches and stuff like that. Like that's where I store all that stuff when I don't need it.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a really big adventure this week for me. Yeah, I originally wanted one of the they make a line called the Fat Boy.
Of course they do.
Yeah, but it's not very deep, but it's extremely wide.
Liberty Fat Boy series.
Fat Boy Junior and then Junior XL, which come on. Those are big boys though.
Those are big safes.
Yeah, and like the finish on it is really nice too. Like I got the kind of the textured finish with the gray carpeting inside, so it looks a little bit nicer, I think. Like I said, the lock is pretty nice because you can set up multiple combinations. Like I have a code, Mandy can have a code, I can set up additional codes however I want. And with the number of firearms that I own, they all comfortably fit in there. Now I'm at a capacity now where I don't think I could fit more handguns in there because there's pouches on the door for handguns. So I would have to like put those on a shelf in there. But there's ample room for like my long guns to go in there. But it's good. It was quite an adventure to get it done, and watching those guys work was really something.
Yeah, I bet you that was neat. Yeah,
it was kind of neat to watch.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, well, and I guess I was after the fact and I was just kind of curious. I was like, so if I had gotten the 40, like, what would you have done? And he goes, well, I also have these things called crawlers because like those safes are so heavy that you can't put all that weight on one step.
Yeah.
And basically what it is, it has like tank treads and it literally like lays the safe flat and it like goes down multiple steps at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But he said that, it's just him and his son, and he has another crew that he like partners with. It's like a different company for the bigger moves. And he's, that's all he does. He does like 7 or 8 safes a week. And I mean, it wasn't like extravagant, it wasn't super expensive to do. It was like an extra $150 on top of the cost of the safe. And then I tipped them. So it's like, for me, it was like a no brainer.
Yeah. Neat. That's awesome.
Yeah. But that ties into the next topic.
Okay.
So we may, I mean, obviously we just talked about owning safes and firearms and things like that, but we've talked a little bit about some of the different guns that I own.
Mm-hmm.
And where I'm at in my firearms journey these days is I really enjoy long range shooting. For people that are curious about it, like my current setup right now is the precision rifle that I own is made by a company called Sako. It is a Sako TRG 22. It's chambered in 308 Winchester, which is like a 7.62 round. And I've owned this gun for 15 or 16 years now. I have shot a competition or two with it, and it's a phenomenal gun. I bought this back at a time where I wasn't making a lot of money. It was a significant investment because it is like a precision purpose built firearm that is designed for very high precision. And when I got into this, I was like, I don't if I miss a target or I'm not accurate, like I don't want it to be the gun's fault. I want everything to be
Okay.
as it is and it be nice, right? And it be a nice weapon. So that's what I bought way back in the day. And then that is currently paired with this particular optic. And this is an optic, again, that I've owned for a while now. It's made by a company called Vortex. It is a 6-24 scope. So that means that minimum magnification 6, and it goes all the way up to 24 times magnification. And for targets anywhere between 100 yards and like 800 yards, it does this gun performs beautifully. With my current optic setup and the type of rounds that I shoot, I'm extremely reliable and accurate with this gun out to those distances. I used to do a lot of long range precision shooting, again, a very long time ago, like even before you and I met. I was sort of on the tail end of it when I started working with you, just because we had recently bought a home not long before that, and long range precision shooting is not a cheap sport, especially if you don't hand load your own ammo. And when you start looking at some of the prices of these firearms and these really expensive optics and all the accessories that go along with it, like it is not for the faint of heart. But being able to hit a piece of steel or a target pretty far out is really fun. It's a giant math problem. It's a giant trigonometry problem. It's really fun to kind of learn the science behind it and everything, and that's really rewarding for me. And late last year, I hit an important milestone because I finally hit 1,000 yards.
Wow, that's a lot of yards.
Yeah, that's a little over a half a mile, and that's about where my current rifle is topping out. I've only hit that shot once with this rifle. And honestly, it's not necessarily the rifle's fault. It's not necessarily the round's fault. It's just that with my current optic, it's very hard to accurately, what's the word I'm looking for? Accurately estimate my point of impact with this current scope.
Okay.
If I were to upgrade the scope on this gun, 1,000 yards would be a little more sustainable. But it just as it is right now, it's not a great round for it. It's not a great scope for it. And it's sort of at its limit. My buddy that I go shoot with, he shoots a different caliber that's a little more flat shooting, meaning it holds supersonic speed before the bullet goes transonic. So in precision shooting, what you want is you want your bullet to stay supersonic as long as possible, because it's less susceptible to like other aerodynamic forces or gravity or wind or any other external factors if it's supersonic. So as your bullet slows down, these external forces really start to exponentially affect the trajectory of the bullet. And when you get out to these ranges, you're not so much shooting at a target as you are lobbing something at a target.
Okay.
Because you really have to aim very high. You have to account for significant drop as your bullet slows down. So he shoots a flatter round. It's known as 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a similar shape and size of bullet, but the ballistic characteristics of it are much different. So at the end of last year, as we were sort of wrapping up before the weather decided to get cold and some of these shooting ranges sort of shut down for the winter, he and I were talking about it, and I decided that We basically set some goals for each other for the coming year. And my goal is I want to shoot a mile.
That's long. Yes.
1,736 yards, if I'm not mistaken.
Oof.
So that's 700 yards further than what I hit with my rifle now. And like I said before, I don't think this rifle and this caliber has the legs to get there. So I've been doing research ever since like November, December last year. I've been doing research on, if I really want to do this, what is it going to take? What sort of caliber am I going to need? What sort of firearm should I be looking at? I've been really sort of planning this out. And originally what I was going to do is I was going to get another Sako. They're a Finnish company. Again, they make extremely precise hunting and precision rifles. They make another rifle called the TRG 42, which you can get in heavier calibers. So they make it in 300 Winchester Magnum, which is a venerable hunting type cartridge that, with the right type of bullet is also really good for long range precision shooting. It has its drawbacks, but it could hit a mile. The other caliber that they make for this gun is 338 Lapua Magnum. And 338 Lapua Magnum is another Scandinavian invention. It is a very, very powerful Magnum cartridge. The downside of that cartridge is that it is a very, very expensive round. Again, I don't hand load. I don't have the capability to hand load. I don't want black powder in my house. Like I'm not at that stage. I don't think I ever will get to that stage. But to put things in perspective, for my current gun, I can go to the store and I can buy quality. I'm not just talking about regular everyday ammunition. I mean, ammunition that is basically quality assured and made for match grade shooting. Match grade ammunition is about $48 to $50 a box, and 20 come in a box. So that's like every pull of the trigger is about $2. 300 Winchester Magnum, you get into like the $62 to $65 range for a box. 338 Lapua Magnum, you're $90 to $100 for a box of 20. That's a little cost prohibitive for me. But at the same time, a 338 Lapua Magnum round will absolutely comfortably shoot a mile and beyond. Like, that round is battle tested. It is built for that high energy supersonic performance, maintaining consistent velocity for the duration of the bullet flight. Like, that round is built for that. But as I did my research, I was really leaning towards going to the Sako TRG 42A1, which again is a kind of an updated version on the rifle that I have now. So again, if you're on the Sako website, they have the TRG 42 and 22, and then they also have what they call the Sako TRG 22 42A1. And this is more of a modernized version that features like additional ergonomics where you can adjust the length of pull, the cheek rest, the stock folds for easier transport. It has a full integrated rail system versus it being a complete fixed stock system. Very, very nice rifle. And that's what I would assume that I was going to go with. But then I started to do some research. And I landed on a different caliber that I wanted to get. And that caliber is known as 300 PRC, or 300 Precision Rifle Caliber. Now, what is 300 PRC?
That's a good question.
Remember how I said that 300 Winchester Magnum was a tried and true round? It's been around for 50 years or probably even longer than that. It is considered a Magnum round for rifles, and it has, very predictable, very well-tread ballistic information. But the bullets are a little bit on the lighter side. So bullets are measured in this unit of measurement called grains, which basically denotes weight. Heavier bullets are more stable, but they require more energy. So the heavier your bullet, the more powder you have to pack into something, and you will maintain consistent muzzle velocity and muzzle energy, but your bullet might not travel as far, versus a lighter bullet that will exit the gun at a higher velocity, but it will start to lose energy faster. 300 PRC solves a lot of those problems. And it's designed to be a heavier grain bullet with a little bit extra oomph that makes the bullet basically tailor-made for these extreme long-range precision applications, while basically maintaining a lot of the same other characteristics of 300 Winchester Magnum. So 300 Winchester Magnum, even though it is technically a Magnum round, is pretty comfortable to shoot. It doesn't have, obnoxiously large recoil. It doesn't necessarily. It's not super expensive to shoot. Remember, I said it was like $60, $65 for a box of match grade ammunition. 300 PRC is actually about the same price. And it's, I could go into like the whole history of it or anything like that, but there's plenty of YouTube channels and things, and you can check our show notes for some things that I'll put in there. But after watching some YouTube videos and doing some research, like this is where a lot of rifle manufacturers are starting to build some of these extreme long range application rifles around this cartridge. And there's a lot of really, really respected rifle companies that have gotten behind this. So Hornady, they are a ammunition manufacturer. They're the ones that sort of came up with this round. And for a while, there weren't a lot of off-the-shelf rifles that could shoot this. You sort of had to be a gunsmith and rechamber your guns for it. Again, because like whenever you really get deep in the paint on some of these different rifle cartridges and cartridge sizes and necks and bullet lengths and bullet widths and all that other stuff, like there's some overlap. Like you can rechamber a 300 Winchester Magnum to fit this cartridge if you know what you're doing and you have like access to a machine shop. But anyway, it achieved what is known as SAMI approval. And I believe SAMI, what does that stand for? Sporting Arms and Ammunitions Manufacturing Institute. It's basically like the ISO for bullets, right? Like
Okay.
if your round or your cartridge or your gun meets SAMI standards, that means that it's ready for mass production. And a lot of other ammunition manufacturers have jumped onto this round. The military has started to adopt it, and now we're seeing like a lot of other like really respected rifle manufacturers starting to build around this, like companies like Accuracy International, which is like the absolute gold standard of precision rifles. They're a British company. Just to put this in perspective, like some of the other rifle manufacturers like Remington, Bergara, Tikka, GA Precision, which is a company out of Missouri that makes really nice rifles. Like one of their nicer rifles might be like $6,000 or $7,000. Like Accuracy International, like $12,000. They're usually twice as expensive, but they are widely regarded as some of the finest made precision rifles in the world. But anyway, companies like that have started to get behind the round. So anyway, long story short, that's all prologue. I did all this research and I decided, okay, I want to see if this year I can shoot a mile, and I feel like 300 PRC is the round that I'm going to do this with. So then it became a question of what sort of rifle should I buy? So once I had decided on the caliber, I was ready to decide on the rifle. And here is the one that I decided on.
Yes, I'm 18. Thank you.
Yeah. You have to be 18 to look at pictures of boobs and guns.
Turns out. Yep.
All right. This, Paul, is the Barrett MRAD. Or multi-role adaptive design rifle. A little bit of history about this gun. This gun was built by the Barrett Firearms Company, the same Barrett that pioneered the 50 caliber sniper rifle. They have developed this MRAD rifle system. And this was originally developed for a military contract. The military designation on this gun is the MK22 or Mark 22. And the key features around this gun are, one, it supports basically a whole bunch of really, really popular and really, really accurate rifle rounds. One of which is 300 PRC. but you can also get 300 Norma Magnum, which is a little more bespoke and a little heavier hitter round than the 300 PRC. 338 Lapua Magnum, 338 Norma Magnum, 300 Winchester Magnum, good old 308, which I already have, and even 6.5 Creedmoor. But the barrel system in this gun is designed to be interchangeable. So even though you can buy it off the shelf at one of these calibers, you can, with access to a torque wrench, so you torque it down to the appropriate pound foot, I should say, of pressure, you can swap out these barrels and bolts to basically tailor this to whatever your current capacity is. Much like the Sako TRG 42 and 22A1s, this is a fully ergonomic rifle, folding stock, adjustable cheek pull, adjustable length of pull, adjustable butt stock, folding stock, the whole deal. So this was the rifle that I sought out and have purchased. So I actually have this rifle.
You bought it. Got it. Okay.
I did buy it. After I really hemmed and hawed on the one that I wanted to get. But after reading about it and doing some research, this one is pretty well regarded as being a fantastic gun. It is a very, very large gun. It is a 26-inch barrel, which that means from breech to bore. It is 26 inches, but that doesn't mean the rifle is 26 inches. It is considerably longer than that. If you're looking at a picture of it, basically from where the muzzle brake is all the way to where the bolt face stops is the length of the barrel. There's basically still half of a gun after that. It's very heavy. It's extremely sturdy and very well made. And that was what I decided to go with. There is a fantastic store that I went out to visit in the middle of Pennsylvania known as Euro Optic. It is where I bought my original rifle from way back in the day. These people started out as just an online store for guns. They have since expanded and opened basically a showroom out near State College, Pennsylvania. So I basically last Saturday got up super early in the morning, left about 4 a.m, drove about 6 hours to the store, got to browse their incredible showroom where they have all of this stuff on display that you can see and touch, because I really wasn't super sure I wanted this one, and I was comparing it to a few other brands. But I'm glad I went with this one, and I was glad I got to see and touch all the things there. And their showroom is really interesting because, like, when you drive up to the building, it just looks like a huge warehouse. And when you walk in, you have to like go up to the second floor, and anything you want to see, if it's not already out, they basically call it out to the warehouse and they bring it up in a big elevator to you.
Okay.
Very, 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 very cool stuff. So that was the rifle I decided to get, but that's only half of the equation, because there's something else that you need to be able to do this.
Optics.
So again, doing research and thinking about the next thing that I wanted to put on top of this, I decided to go with a company called Night Force. Again, they are very, very well known in the precision shooting community. They are one of the higher end scopes. I went with a 7-35 powered scope this time, so much more magnification than I have before. And it is known as the Attacker, or ATACR. And it is a fantastic piece of glass that has a particular if you go to that link that I sent you, and about halfway down the page, if you click on reticles,
okay,
this is what makes, I mean, other than the magnification, this is what really sets some of these manufacturers apart from each other. So you can see that, like, some of these scopes have not a lot of stuff on them, and some of these scopes have a lot of stuff. Some of these reticles have a lot of stuff on them. So the one that I went with is known as the Mil XT. And essentially what that is it looks a little bit like what they call a Christmas tree. And the idea behind it is that obviously you want to put your crosshairs on what you're aiming at. But if you need to do rapid follow-up shots or account for wind or extra drop, there are lots of other indicators both on the crosshair itself and then little dots that sort of grow off of the horizon, if it were, that help you know where to aim. Each one of those dots means something. And without turning this into like a geometry or trigonometry lesson, it's all angles. It's all angle subtension. Like, those dots mean something at different distances. So if you're shooting at something at 300 yards, you need to use so many dots versus more dots at greater distances, right? So it's all for on the fly calculations. That is the optic that I put on it. And my buddy has a lot of specialized tools for accurately mounting and keeping the scope level, because obviously that's important when you're mounting a scope, that you want everything to be level. Turns out.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yep. So we got all that mounted up, and it's all built. The gun also came with its own Pelican case, which is nice in theory, but Pelican cases aren't light, and then you throw in like another 20 pounds of gun in that case. It's pretty unwieldy. But the nice thing is that like the case is already pre-cut. Like the Pelican case I have for my current gun, like I had to like trace the rifle out. I had to basically use like scissors to cut it, and it looks like shit. This was pre-cut by Barrett to basically be tailor fit for this gun. So it fits in there very nice, which I appreciate. But the fun doesn't stop here, Paul.
Uh-oh.
Because there was one other piece of equipment that I purchased.
Okay.
And it's this. And this is going to be my secret weapon.
It's a laser. Holy crap. Okay. Good for you, Drew.
This is the Vortex Optics. Again, the same company that makes the scope that I have on my other gun. This is a Vortex Optics Impact 4000 ballistic rail-mounted laser rangefinder. So, what is this thing? So, like I told you before.
What is this thing? Yes.
So, how does this work? Well, what it is this gets mounted to basically the top of your gun. So, picture a gun, picture the scope on top of that gun, and then this thing goes on top of the scope.
Okay.
So, basically, it's a scope on a scope. It's a hat on a hat. And if you look at it, you can see that it has like a piece of glass on the front of it. It has some buttons on the top of it. And then on the other side of it, has like a little LCD screen, right? Mm-hmm. So here's how this works. Once this has been set on your firearm and it has been calibrated, the idea is you aim at the thing you want to shoot. You press a button. This thing will accurately range your target. It will take into account current meteorological conditions and the other data it knows about your caliber and your gun, and tell you, hey, aim this far left and this far up. It's basically Game Genie for shooting.
Okay.
It's witchcraft. Now, prior to this, I had used what is known as a Kestrel. And a Kestrel basically does the same thing. It's a ballistic calculator that, like, if you really want to be accurate at ballistics calculators, and I swear to God, I'm not going to make this a super deep subject, but just bear with me. In order to accurately predict your bullet's flight, there are known factors and there are unknown factors. The known factors are, I know how much my bullet weighs. I know what caliber I'm shooting, right? I know who makes my bullet. I know the ballistic properties of my bullet. I know the length of my barrel. I know the rifle twist. In other words, how many revolutions does the bullet make in my barrel before it leaves? I know the muzzle velocity as the bullet exits my gun. Right? Those are all known factors. The unknown factors are distance. Okay. Or actually, no, we're gonna call distance a known factor because the scale at which your bullet is affected by these conditions is directly correlated to distance. So if you know the distance you're shooting and everything else was steady state, your bullet would roughly perform within certain degrees. Because like in reality, if I told you that my gun shoots a bullet at 2,800 feet per second, I could fire 5 shots and they're all going to be around 2,800 feet per second. We're not shooting in a vacuum, in other words, right? Like right. There's variations in manufacturing and there's all this other stuff. But what are the unknown factors? Well, wind, for one, right? Mm-hmm. Barometric pressure, altitude, humidity. All of these other things also play into your shooting solution. So what this device does is, through the use of an app, because of course, you can program in basically, here's the gun I'm using, here's the ammunition I'm using. You can then have this guy range your target, account for any changes in elevation. It also has sensors for wind. It has sensors for humidity and temperature and your basic position on the earth. So it knows like which direction you're facing. It has a built-in compass. So that when you hit the button on the top, on that little LCD display, it will tell you the range, and then it will say, you need to aim this many radians or minutes of angle above your target. And based on the current wind conditions, you're probably going to want to aim this far left or right. But wind is a constant change. So you kind of have to, you still have to do like a finger in the air type calculation based on what it's telling you. But this helps you take the guesswork out of it. And the thing that's nice about this is you don't have to come off of the gun to do it. With ballistic calculators on our phones, between shots, I would have to stop and look at my iPhone or stop and look at my iPad.
Okay.
In the olden days, like when I first started getting into this kind of shit didn't exist. And essentially what you had is you had a DOPE card, DOPE, and that stands for Data on Personal Equipment. And essentially what that was is that was an index card most of the time that you would laminate. And through your own testing, you knew how much your bullets dropped at different distances. You knew, based in different wind conditions, roughly how your bullets would perform. So you would basically keep that card with your gun. And if you shot enough, you just kind of knew, right? I'm at 600 yards. I know I need to hold this much. You just kind of knew. But at these kind of distances that we're talking about here, it's like not only are some of these unknowns, tough to calculate at these extreme ranges, a lot of times the wind that's blowing, where I'm at isn't blowing the same direction where I'm aiming.
Yeah.
So,
makes
like
sense.
you can have, literally can have crosswinds, right?
That happens.
So it's like, yeah. So this takes that all into account. And the other nice thing about this thing is that it sets up its own Wi-Fi network.
Of course it does.
And I don't know if it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, but what it does is it comes with a little remote. So if I can't reach up and hit the button between shots, I can basically put that little remote next to my trigger so that I can tap it to rearrange and get a new solution for a follow-up shot. It can also integrate with weather stations. Like I have that Kestrel that can do real-time wind monitoring and all that other stuff. It can accumulate data into that and take that into consideration for its solutioning. It can also take data from internet weather stations and incorporate that into its solution. It all sort of talks to like the same thing, right?
Okay.
I have seen demonstrations of this, and I feel like based on my goals here, this is going to help me achieve what I want to do. So between the Barrett, the actual gun, the optic, and then this, I'm not going to tell you the number because I'm a little ashamed of myself. But yes, this is my new goal.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that once I get once I have everything zeroed, I may try to go tomorrow if the weather cooperates. Is I may go up and get everything zeroed and get everything calibrated, and then maybe in the next few weeks, head out east to Coshocton where they have a range where they have mile-long targets, and go for it.
Cool.
Yeah, that, and I don't know how I'll feel when I get there, because if I spend all this money and I can't do it, then it'll just make me try harder. But like if I get it on like my first, second, or third shot, I'm gonna be like, all right, that's that. It can go away now.
Done. Money well spent. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you're on that page, you can see how this thing mounts to guns, and like you have to get what's called a diving board mount for your scope, because your scope is usually attached to your guns through what are called scope rings. And this diving board mount basically replaces one of your top rings, and then it basically gives you an additional series of rails to mount everything on.
Okay.
But yeah, those are now my new tools. And that is my goal for this year. Other than getting back into some competition stuff, my goal is to shoot a mile.
It's good to have goals.
It is good to have goals. Those are my goals. Well, that's enough gun talk for another 6 months.
Well, if you take it out, you have to let us know how it goes.
Well, okay, so there is one other thing that I haven't bought yet.
Okay.
I'm curious. Let me see here. Oh crap, I can't get to the website now. Shit. What's it called? Hold on. Tacticam. Is this it? Hunting in game. What? No, come on. Fucking no, Bing. Nobody wants Bing. Nobody wants Bing. There's a company that makes basically Tacticam Solo. Let's see if I can find it. Shit. Oh, boy. I should have done this ahead of time. Sorry.
That's all right.
Here, this is... I wish... Nope, that's not it either. Shit. Here. This isn't the one I'm looking at, but this will give you a rough idea of what I'm talking about. There are companies that make basically cameras that are designed to integrate with your scope.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about, as I get closer to achieving my goal, I would love to have video proof of this.
Okay.
So essentially what this would do is this would mount between my eye and the scope. And this would give me a way to basically record what I would be looking at as I'm shooting and hopefully record my hits.
Got it. Okay.
This one is very cheap. This is not the one I would be looking at. There are ones that are nicer than this.
But general idea, yeah.
Yeah, general idea. I was hoping to have the other link, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, you would be able to see my reticle and everything versus just like, something shaky, GoPro from a mile away that you can't tell if I hit something. So anyway,
cool.
That's my big thing. Sorry. Let's
you're good.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah. Hey, as you know, you can go to doingyourbest.com. You can find all these show links there. You can find emails, social stuff, all that good stuff. And hey, everybody, thanks for listening.